Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of the most strategically important, rapidly growing, and honestly fascinating fields in cybersecurity. I'm talking about governance, risk, and compliance, or as we all call it, GRC. Look, if you've ever wanted to break into cyber but felt completely intimidated by the idea of staring at matrix-style code all day, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to explore how a seasoned GRC analyst actually sits right at the vital intersection of technology, business operations, and human communication. Here's our agenda for today. Consider this your professional roadmap. We're going to take you from understanding what this job actually entails on a day-to-day basis to shattering some massive industry myths, looking at exactly how much it pays, and finally giving you the concrete steps you need to get hired. Let's jump in. Starting with Section 1, the cyber career myth, and shattering the hacker stereotype. We absolutely have to start here to break down the single biggest misconception about entering the cybersecurity space. When you hear the word cybersecurity, right away you probably picture that classic Hollywood myth. You know the one? A hooded hacker in a dark basement, completely isolated, typing a million miles an hour into a glowing terminal. But the reality of GRC is completely different. It sits squarely at the dynamic intersection of business strategy, diplomacy, and cross-departmental communication. You aren't hacking systems, you are hacking organizational behavior to keep companies safe. It really boils down to this. GRC is fundamentally a communication and influence role. If you have a knack for organization, strong diplomacy skills, and solid business acumen, you already possess the foundational superpowers required for this elite job. The technical skills, those can be taught. But the ability to communicate risk effectively to a boardroom, that is incredibly rare. All right, moving to Section 2 inside the GRC role. Let's pull back the curtain and ground the day-to-day reality of what a GRC analyst actually does on a random Tuesday morning. A massive cornerstone of your daily life in this role is going to be managing SOC 2 compliance. Think of SOC 2 as the ultimate VIP trust badge for cloud and software as a service companies. If a tech company wants to sell their software to a massive enterprise, they absolutely need this report to prove they're treating sensitive data securely. No SOC 2, no deal. So what does managing that actually look like? Well, instead of writing code, you act as an investigator and a coordinator. You'll be gathering evidence, like system logs, to prove security controls are actually working. You'll run gap assessments to figure out what's missing before the external auditors even arrive. Ultimately, you're the conductor of the security orchestra, driving policy across the whole enterprise. But you don't just look inward at your own company. The other half of your job is TPRM, or third-party risk management. This is the process of looking outward. You're making absolutely sure that the vendors and partners your company uses aren't going to be the reason you end up hacked and on the front page of the news. In this capacity, you are practically the gatekeeper for the business. Your daily activities involve reviewing dense security questionnaires, auditing contracts alongside the legal team, and, crucially, having the authority to diplomatically tell the procurement team when a shiny new software vendor is simply too risky to use. It is highly, highly impactful work. Let's hit Section 3. The people-first tech job, where diplomacy outperforms coding. This directly addresses your personality and background, because this is the exact place where interpersonal skills shine far brighter than technical wizardry. There is a critical line you need to understand here. Conceptually, yes, you need to know how cloud architecture works, what a firewall does, and the basics of access controls. But practically, you don't need to build the systems, you don't run the penetration tests, you don't perform forensic analysis, and you definitely don't write a single line of code. You need to understand the what and the why, not the deep technical how. And this brings us to personality fit. If you are detail-oriented, enjoy working with people, and can translate complex technical risks into simple business language for executives, you are a phenomenal fit. On the flip side, someone who just wants to put their noise-canceling headphones on, live inside a computer terminal, and avoid tough human conversations, they're going to heavily struggle in this environment. Let's look at how this plays out in reality. Imagine trying to explain strict security requirements to a fast-moving, heavily caffeinated software developer whose personal motto is, "I don't do compliance." Your job involves translating auditor demands into actual business value for those engineers. You have to negotiate deadlines and use pure diplomacy to get things done, often without having any direct managerial authority over them. It's literally a masterclass in human influence. Section 4. Navigating the frameworks. Welcome to the GRC alphabet soup. To speak the language of GRC effectively, we need to briefly decode the actual frameworks that guide these compliance standards.
Your professional tool belt is going to include getting familiar with a few major standards. You have SOC 2 for the cloud, the NIST framework for core defensive security, and ISO 27001 for international standards. Throw in privacy laws like GDPR and PCI DSS if your company touches credit cards. And yeah, it looks like a massive alphabet soup. But here's the good news. They actually all share the exact same DNA.
Here is the absolute industry secret. You do not need a certification in every single one of those frameworks. No way. The true skill, the secret sauce that separates a junior analyst from a senior one, is cross-framework mapping. It's the ability to look at a password rule in SOC 2 and know exactly how it maps over to a related requirement in ISO or NIST. That conceptual flexibility, that is your fast-track ticket to the top. Which brings us to Section 5, High Demand, High Reward. Now we reach the part everyone wants to know. What makes all this relationship management, framework studying, and diplomacy actually worth it?
Well, the growth ceiling here is incredibly high. The top end of this career path, specifically if you aim for the Chief Information Security Officer or CISO role, leveraging a strong GRC background, can easily break the $400,000 mark per year. Let that sink in for a second.
And even when you're just starting out as an entry-level analyst, the compensation is highly lucrative. Why? Because executives are absolutely terrified of regulatory fines and front-page data breaches. They desperately need people who can protect their bottom line and their reputation, and they are more than willing to pay a premium for that peace of mind. But look, it goes way beyond just the money. The lifestyle is exceptional. You're looking at predictable business hours. You don't have the 24/7 on-call, weekend-ruining nightmare of an incident response analyst. Add in excellent remote work options, high visibility with the executive board, and extreme recession resistance. Because let's face it, regulatory compliance requirements don't magically disappear during an economic downturn. Finally, Section 6, your career entry roadmap. Actionable steps to get hired. If you're sold on the benefits and the lifestyle of this career, let's map out exactly, step by step, how you can pivot into this field starting today. Your first concrete step, your foundational entry ticket, is to pursue the CompTIA Security Plus certification. That proves your baseline cybersecurity knowledge. Once you're in the door, you can eventually level up to specialized, intermediate certs like CRISC or CISA, and way down the line, advanced leadership certifications like the CISSP. Here is your multi-year plan of attack. Spend your first 3 months grabbing that baseline Security Plus cert and reading free frameworks like NIST online. Use the rest of year 1 to pivot into an audit or compliance role. Honestly, even volunteering to write security policies at your current non-cyber job helps immensely. By year 2, you're specializing. And by year 5, you are independently leading major risk programs. Ultimately, the people who advance the absolute fastest in GRC are the ones who can confidently say yes to this one question. Can you sit in a room with a skeptical chief technology officer, a time-pressed engineering VP, and a meticulous auditor and get them all perfectly aligned on a unified strategy? Are you ready to become that vital bridge between business operations and cybersecurity? If so, your future in GRC is waiting.